plot hooks are the lifeblood of a D&D game. If you as the Dungeon Master don't implement them well, you may just find your players wandering about randomly in the game world. And it would kind of be your own fault. All right, let's do this. 6 plot hook pitfalls to avoid and what you should do instead. Number 1, not giving the party a reason to do the thing. Different people are motivated by different things. Try to include at least moral motivations and money and treasure motivations. Also include character motivations whenever possible. Moral motivations. You know, many characters in the game want to be heroes and do the right thing. They want to help people. They want to stop the bad guys. So you have gnolls, they're terrorizing the villagers and capturing them and eating them and slaughtering them and doing whole bunches of bad things. And so many characters and many players are going to be motivated to go out and stop the gnolls because it's the right thing to do, and those poor villagers, they're just being massacred. Monetary motivations, you know, treasure and magic items, those are gonna motivate characters, and they're gonna motivate players who want to see their characters become more and more powerful, because that is a driving factor for many players and a reason they play the game and part of the game that they really enjoy. So, you know, if you go kill some gnolls and help the village out and take care of the problem, the mayor has this heirloom passed down from his father, this magic item that he might just give you. Or, you know, the gnolls happen to kill off another adventuring party who had some magic items, so you might go get that loot while you're at it. And a character motivation is when you tie in something related to a character's backstory or their traits and flaws. For instance, I had a player who ran a character named Kasim, and when he found out that his family was having trouble down south in and his sister came up to tell him about it, he decided that it was his duty to go down and help his family. And of course, they brought the whole adventuring party along with them, and all of my players experienced that adventure because we run group D&D games. Advanced rewards and recognitions. Now, if you have the rewards and recognition system from the May 2022 issue of Lair magazine, there are 13 other categories of rewards you could offer characters in your plot hook to motivate them to go on the adventure. Things such as appointments, decorations, services, patronage, and more. Now, if you don't get Lair magazine, you can instantly get access by becoming a DM Lair patron at the link below. You'll get the last 2 issues, which, if you're watching this video when it comes out, would be the June issue and the May issue, which would give you our rewards and recognition system. And remember, you can motivate the character, but also don't forget to motivate the player. Yes, we all should be role-playing and only doing what our characters would do, but that isn't always the reality. If you know your players like certain things, regardless of what characters they are running, you can appeal to those preferences as well. For example, I have a player, Joe, who loves exploration. So if I have a plot hook that emphasizes a vast, unexplored dungeon full of mystery, danger, and great reward, I bet you that Joe, regardless of what character he happens to be playing, is going to want to go on that adventure. By the way, if you're a player looking to commission an illustration of your fabulous character, or you're a game master seeking one for a wretched villain, head over to Describe.com. I know we always talk about Describe's wonderful narrative descriptions that game masters can read or paraphrase to their players, but they also do character art commissions. Describing what your character looks like is great. Showing a professionally crafted illustration of your character, well, that's taking it to the next level. And think about it this way too. What kind of game master would dare murderize your character after you've had custom art commissioned for them? Yeah, I would. Anyway, check out Describe's character illustrations at the link below and use the discount code TheDMLair to get 10% off. Number 2, not being clear on the next step. It's fantastic if your plot hook gets your players to bite and they're raring to go on that adventure. However, if they don't know what they should do next or where they should go, they're gonna just flounder about and perhaps just give up and begin wandering the game world aimlessly, hoping the adventure falls into their laps. And it might, but that would be up to you, the Dungeon Master, to figure that whole thing out. Probably just be easier to tell them where to go and what to do. You know, just throwing that out there. Now, it's okay to be painfully clear in your plot hook about what the next step is. Your NPC quest giver can tell them where to go next, perhaps even the location of the adventure. They can tell them who to talk to get more information. Being mysterious as a dungeon master is fun, but if it results in your players having no idea what to do or where to go in order to go on your adventure, well, that's a problem. Now, it's okay if part of the point of the adventure is that no one knows the location of the ancient dungeon of death, and your players need to explore. But you at least need to give them a push in the right direction. A clue, a hint, an NPC to talk to, a general idea of the location, a rumor they overhear in the tavern, something. Give them something. Number 3, the secret plot hook. This is the plot hook your players don't even know you gave them. Thus, they can't follow it. You were all clever and sly when you slipped that plot hook in. I mean, you wouldn't want to railroad them, would you? And what's the best solution to not railroading players? Slipping in plot hooks that they don't even realize, of course. And then those plot hooks will fester in their subconscious minds until finally, in a flash of brilliance, they will decide to go on the adventure without any dungeon master prodding whatsoever. Yeah, that probably won't work. I mean, it could work. My Curse of Strahd players are incredibly adept at spotting plot hooks to add to their ever-growing list of plot hooks and stuff that they need to do, but I would not count on it unless you know your players very well. You are much better off making your plot hooks obvious. That way they can't be overlooked. Now, if you think the advice in this video doesn't completely suck, or you're just enjoying a heaping mound of bacon right now, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment for the algorithm down below. Let us know what you do to improve plot hooks in your games. Or you could weigh the amount of bacon currently left on your plate and then tell us how long it takes you to finish it and give us some rough math. Tell us the velocity at which you are eating bacon. That would be wonderful. Number 4, not signing the social contract. Most game masters and players understand what is often an unspoken social contract. The GM creates adventures, lets the players know about them via plot hooks, and the players then go on those adventures. Because if they don't, the alternative is wandering the world randomly, trying to scare up stuff to do, and having the game master scramble to make up content on the fly. And that style of game may or may not be satisfying. The players might be a bit bored because nothing exciting is happening, even though that's really their own fault because there was something exciting, but it was back that adventure location that they decided not to go to. And the game master might be a bit frustrated, disappointed, and perhaps resentful because now, instead of running that adventure that they spent hours preparing, they're frantically making up content on the fly, which is probably not as good as that adventure they prepared because they're just pulling it out of their rear and hoping for the best. It's often not a good strategy. Nothing good ever comes out of the rear, in my experience. That's a joke, folks. Calm down. Game masters have been improvising stuff for a long time, and a lot of it's really good. But is it as good as something you prepare in advance? Maybe, probably not. Now, some groups love that style of play. Let me be clear. The players get an open world where they can do anything, and the Dungeon Master does minimal prep before the game and improvises heavily during the game. However, many groups will hate that style of play. While the players will have complete freedom, they don't experience well-designed adventures, and instead the game might feel more like a mishmash of random encounters thrown together on the fly, because they rather are random encounters thrown together on the fly. And the game master's brain is working at 120%, frantically trying to create content as they play the game. So here's my point. If your players don't intuitively understand this social contract, that the dungeon master creates adventures and the players should go on them, it's okay to explain it to them. And then be very clear in requesting that players don't intentionally ignore plot hooks. Now, right about now, someone is screaming, "Railroader!" at the screen, and they're probably down there typing a furious comment about how I am a very horrible, very bad man. This is very horrible, very bad advice, and that I should be ashamed of myself. I literally bet you if you go down below, you're gonna find a comment that says exactly that. And that's fair. Please leave that comment. I would argue that you don't probably understand what railroading actually is. I would argue that there is nothing wrong with running linear adventures instead of sandbox adventures. I would argue that most game masters are probably not that good at open world sandbox adventures, and that their players would probably have much more fun with a good linear adventure campaign, even if it limits their choices and freedom a bit. But hey, that's just me. That's my argument. I could be a moron and be completely wrong. In fact, I'm sure some of you have already left that comment down below. Number 5, only giving your players one plot hook. Plot hooks are lonely by themselves. They are far more exciting in pairs or triplicate. Here's the thing about human beings, a brief psychology lesson. We want to feel in control in our lives. Even if it's just the illusion of control, we want to feel that we are in control. Feeling in control lowers anxiety and depression and brings about improved happiness. It is a fact, research and studies back it up. So let's apply that to our RPG games by giving our players increased control. Instead of giving them just one plot hook that drives them to one adventure that they have to do, let's give them more than one plot hook so that they have choices. When you give your players 2 or 3 different plot hooks and they get to choose which adventure to go on, they're going to be immensely more satisfied with the game. Usually there are exceptions. I was once at, I think it was McDonald's, and my best friend's girlfriend was trying to pick something off the menu, and I swear she was there for 20 minutes and could not decide what to get off the McDonald's menu. She's the type of person I think that would be well served by a menu at McDonald's that had one item, cheeseburger and fries. That's it. Of course, then she'd be over at the condiment counter trying to decide whether to put ketchup on the hamburger and if it's 2 packets of salt on the fries or just 1. So maybe that wouldn't help. Anyway, giving your players more than one plot hook at a time to choose from strikes a balance between allowing the dungeon master to prepare adventures in advance and allowing the players to choose what they want to do and where they want to go. Now, of course, my advice is to not plan out in detail all 3 adventures. Instead, deliver the plot hooks and have your players tell you which adventure they plan to go on next. Then you can go off and prepare that adventure, not all 3. For instance, in my Curse of Strahd game, as we're coming to the end of an adventure that we're currently on, let's pretend that they're in the Amber Temple, I forgot the name for a second there, I will ask them, hey guys, once you finish up here, what do you think you want to do next from your list of plot hooks? And they will tell me, we're gonna go to the windmill, the orphanage, and we're gonna clear things up over there. Then after the game, I know that, hey, Amber Temple is ending soon, and they're gonna do the windmill next, so I should prepare that adventure. And another advantage here too is that since you didn't prep the other 2 adventures, if your players never end up going on them, you don't feel bad about wasted prep time, even though all content a DM creates can be repurposed to one degree or another down the line. Number 6, not linking adventures. One of the classic things that I do in my homebrew campaigns is that I link the adventures. Now, what does that mean? Okay, so the players are going up and down the Sword Coast, taking out Lord Paxton's lieutenants and vassals, and during each adventure, oftentimes toward the end of the adventure, they find something that will lead them to the next adventure. Perhaps it is a letter that Lord Paxton wrote to his lieutenant that mentions another lieutenant the characters don't know about yet. This will then prompt the PCs to go get that lieutenant next. Or in a chest they find during the adventure, they could uncover a map of the region with a few marks at specific spots and some smeared writing. Now, the PCs don't know exactly what the marks are for, but if they go there, well, they might find out. You see, these are your plot hooks. And this is exactly what I mean by linking the adventures together. Now, traditionally, we have like an NPC quest giver, often with a question mark floating above their heads, give our players their next plot hook. But it doesn't have to work that way. In fact, the advanced Dungeon Master relies less on NPC quest givers and more on linking adventures together through elements the party discovers during an adventure. You'll find that this is often done in modules a lot, at least the good ones. Click on the screen now to learn more about linear, sandbox, and railroad games, or to become a DM Lair patron, get an issue of Lair magazine every month, and play D&D with me. And until next time, my Chihuahua kind of looks like a miniature cow. It's really freaky.